Hello, dear listener. Please subscribe to our channel. Enjoy watching. My life was never easy, but I always knew how to appreciate what I had. I lived with my wife Jessica in a rented apartment. We had a wonderful son named Stephen. He was 5 years old. And I worked as a waiter in a restaurant, and Jessica worked as a seamstress in a sewing factory. Our life was calm and happy. I took pride in having a complete family, stable employment, and enough money for our necessities. I love my wife and son dearly. I often treated my wife to delicious meals at the restaurant. She would visit quite frequently. Of course, I wished for something more, but I was grateful for what I already had. My life was good until my relationship with the owner of the restaurant where I worked, Jacob, became complicated. One day he noticed my wife at his restaurant and how I was talking to her. "Michael, what were you talking about with the customer? You haven't forgotten you're at work, have you?" Jacob asked. "I'm sorry, that's my wife. I'm just trying to take good care of her," I replied. "Your wife? You lucky man. She's a true beauty. Is this her first time here?" Jacob's expression suddenly changed. "No, she comes here occasionally, and I provide her with our delicious dishes and top-notch service, just like I would for any customer." "I understand. Why didn't you tell me your wife visits?" "Let's go to her. I want to meet her. Hopefully you haven't been bad-mouthing me to her." Jacob joked. "No, Jacob, I've only spoken positively about you," I replied with a smile. "Jessica, meet Jacob, the restaurant owner." I introduced them when we approached Jessica. "It's very nice to meet you, Jacob. I'm Jessica." "I'm delighted to meet you, Jessica. It's a pleasure to have relatives, loved ones, husbands, and such charming wives of our employees visiting my restaurant. I hope you're enjoying it here." Jacob said, "Yes, Jacob, thank you very much. I really like your cuisine." "Your establishment is always delicious and cozy," Jessica politely responded. "Then be sure to visit more often. I'll personally be very pleased." "Of course, Jacob. I'll definitely come again." I was not pleased with this dialogue between my wife and Jacob. Jacob was quite a greedy jerk. He never paid attention to the working conditions of his employees. However, he loved his fine system of fines but was never in a hurry to reward his staff. But what irritated me the most was Jessica's reaction. Sure, she could have been just polite while talking to him, but I noticed that she had gone overboard, and I couldn't understand why she was acting so strangely. "May I ask if you were overly friendly with Jacob? Am I reading too much into this?" I asked Jessica when we were both home in the evening. "What do you mean?" Jessica asked, looking embarrassed. "You know that this guy is a despicable jerk. I've told you this multiple times, yet today it seemed like you were being excessively friendly with him." "Michael, what are you talking about?" "He's the restaurant owner. I was just being polite while talking to him, nothing more." Behind your polite conversation, there was something more. I really didn't like it. I could smile through my teeth at this jerk because I work for him, but you have no obligation to do that. "Michael, calm down. We were just having a friendly conversation. Why are you reacting this way? I've told you so many negative things about him, and it's like you're ignoring that and treating him as if you know nothing about him. I didn't like how he seemed to show personal interest in you. He couldn't care less about the customers. He never interacts with anyone like that. Michael, I think you're getting worked up over nothing. I'm not saying you're wrong, it's just possible that you don't know him from a good perspective. He's fairly polite and respectful. Jessica, are you out of your min? This cunning fox can say anything if he wants something. I've known him for a long time. How can you judge him so well if you've never really talked to him? Maybe you should get to know him better. I don't think he's as bad as you think. Personally, I haven't seen anything negative in him. Jessica, it's like talking to a wall. I'm telling you clearly who he is, and you're ignoring me justifying this jerk. Michael, you need to be more accepting of people. For instance, try to imagine that he doesn't think anything bad about you, and right now you're pouring heaps of dirt on him." Our conversation with Jessica reached an impasse. I stopped talking, went to the kitchen to have a glass of whiskey, and calmed down. I couldn't wrap my head around Jessica's reaction. It's like she didn't hear me at all, and preferred her initial impression of Jacob over everything I had told her about him. I felt hurt and frustrated about it. However, the next day Jessica came to me and apologized. She tried to explain that she didn't mean to offend me, that she trusted me, but she simply hadn't noticed it during their first meeting. She promised to be more reserved in any future encounters. After that, my resentment towards Jacob grew even stronger. After a while, Jessica came back to the restaurant. As always, I ordered her favorite dish. When I brought her the meal, I was utterly stunned in my tracks. Jacob was sitting at Jessica's table. "Michael, how wonderful that your lovely wife returned to my restaurant," he said. I couldn't resist and joined her at the table. "It's not fitting for such a lady to sit alone without company," Jacob added. "Michael, bring a bottle of that red wine I drink and a couple of glasses," he told me. Jessica sat there, smiling sweetly at Jacob. The situation didn't seem to bother her at all. I was simply in shock. I served this couple for quite a while, shooting angry glances at Jessica, but she seemed to ignore it, focusing solely on Jacob. I couldn't wait for it all to end. Jacob saw my displeased expression, but he seemed to relish taunting me. My colleagues looked at me with pity, and I just didn't know where to put myself. Finally, the nightmare came to an end, and tired and angry, I returned home after my shift. Jessica was waiting for me at the door. "Darling, no matter what you say, I'm just convinced that you misunderstood everything," she immediately said as I entered the apartment. "What? Are you kidding me? This is probably the most humiliating day of my life. With that jerk, it's understandable, but how could you treat me like this?" I exclaimed. "Michael, I just came to your restaurant as always." "I didn't ask Jacob to join me." Jessica began to defend herself. "It's not your fault. You could have told him to leave or simply gotten up and left. Why the hell did you sit with him for so long? Didn't you see the way I looked at you?" I asked. "You don't understand how humiliating this was for me," I added. "Michael, well, he's the owner of the restaurant. I can't forbid him from sitting in his own restaurant. We didn't do anything wrong. I just wanted to finish my meal peacefully and leave. And that's exactly what happened. Yes, we chatted a bit with your boss, but nothing more. And you've blown this way out of proportion." That jerk was practically grinning at me. He enjoyed my discomfort. "And you were sitting there with him. Don't play the innocent lamb. You could have stood up and left. He was practically flirting with you. He didn't say anything inappropriate to me. We just had a friendly conversation, like with any other person. There was nothing more to it. I didn't think differently about the situation, or Jacob. He wasn't a stranger who rudely sat at someone else's table. He's the owner of the restaurant and he was polite, unlike you. And I'm not interested in discussing this anymore." I was simply shocked by Jessica's reaction. It was as if she hadn't heard or seen me at all. I couldn't understand such a response. I felt hurt and overwhelmed by it all. Dark thoughts started filling my mind. I had lost my peace of mind, and now every day was filled with unpleasant thoughts. Seeing Jacob disgusted me. I now simply hated that jerk. I felt out of place at this job, in this place. Every day at work turned into torture for me. At some point, I decided to relax a bit and headed to a pub with my friend Kevin. "Michael, you look awful. Is everything really that bad?" "Yes, Kevin, I can't stand this job anymore. I'm fed up with the boss and my wife is acting so strangely. Anything related to this restaurant is filled with the most unpleasant emotions. I don't understand why you're holding on to this job then." I don't even know anymore. It used to be stability and a decent income. But now this jerk has imposed so many fines that I can't even see my old salary. I'd love to get away from this pathetic jerk. I don't want my wife to come to the restaurant anymore, and I don't want to be in this place myself. I feel that as soon as I leave this job, everything in my life will improve. But I need money, and finding a new job isn't that easy right now. We have a child to support constantly. Michael, don't endure this jerk. Listen, I know someone who's opening their own restaurant. I'll talk to him. I'm sure he'd gladly take you. He needs someone with your experience. That would be amazing, Kevin. Then I really can't see any reason to stay in this place anymore. Why should I wait? I'll go and say everything to that jerk right now. Michael, maybe at least wait until tomorrow? Why rush into things? Kevin, you just dropped a bombshell on me. You have no idea how sick and tired I am of bowing to that jerk. No, I want to say absolutely everything to him. And I want to do it right now. I don't want to postpone it anymore. The sooner I put an end to this, the sooner my life will get back on track. I was filled with intense emotions, a surge of joy that I had finally decided to end it all, and also a burning rage. I wanted to express everything I thought about that jerk. It would bring me even more satisfaction. Jacob lived in a large private house. This jerk could afford luxury, but tonight, his status wouldn't stop me from speaking my mind. This evening had to be ruined for him. I pulled up to the house. It was already quite late. The area around the house was illuminated by lanterns. I headed for the gates, but no one opened them for me. I climbed over the fence and made my way to the house. I didn't try to force the front door. I simply opened it and walked inside. I moved deeper into the hallway and saw the kitchen door partially open. 2 wine glasses with unfinished wine and leftovers from dinner were on the large table in the kitchen. Clearly this jerk wasn't alone, but that didn't deter me. Let the girl who was with him know what kind of jerk he was. I heard moans from the bedroom. I went to the door and opened it. "Get up, you bastard!" I yelled as I stepped inside. Jacob jumped out from under the covers, frightened, and then my wife's head appeared. "What? Are you bitches completely out of your mind?" I shouted. It was just like a snowball to the head. I didn't expect this at all. "Michael, what the hell are you doing at my house?" "You didn't mix anything up," Jacob spoke boldly. "Indeed, Jacob, forgive me for disturbing your peace. I am very guilty. Perhaps I will not disturb you," I sneered and then turned around, pretending to leave. But then I grabbed a small coffee table, spun around and slammed it right into the bastard's white teeth. Jacob collapsed to the floor with a bloody mouth. There was surprise and fear in his eyes. I sat on top of him and started beating the shit out of this bastard, without feeling tired. Each blow gave me simply unforgettable impressions. "Michael, please calm down," Jessica tried to calm me down. "Shut up, whore. You are a vile bastard. Every day I go and worry, I try to change something, to improve, and you fuck with this bastard. You're lying to me. Where is our son? Did you leave him alone at home?" "I'm sorry, Michael. I'm sorry, my son is fast asleep. What are you just? What a creature you are. But that's okay. I'll make you even more nervous. How long have you been sleeping with him?" "You have no idea how long ago, you stupid bastard," Jacob said unexpectedly, who unexpectedly got to his feet and was already standing behind me with a bat. I didn't even know where that bastard got the bat from. He swung at me, I dodged the blow, and his bat got stuck in the wall. Jacob tried to pull out the stuck bat, but it was too late. I swung my fist with all my might and knocked the bastard out. "Michael, please stop." "What are you doing?" Jessica said in tears. "Shut up, creature. Shut up. You will be responsible for this." I tied up these bastards and took them to my car. Jacob was unconscious, and I threatened Jessica that if she yelled, I would strangle her on the spot. I took these bastards out into the woods. It was a place away from the city. Those bastards were completely naked. I didn't let them get dressed. Get dressed. And you bastards as you are, nature. Like everything? You will pay for this, you sick bastard. Jacob woke up. "You're right, most likely I'm not healthy anymore. And you have to pay for everything, I agree. So let's make it so that there is something to pay for. Because I want to bring down your ambition, and I will succeed." I tied those bastards to a tree. Then I drove some distance away from these creatures. And now, bitches, I will crush you right there. The headlights of my car are the last thing you will see in your life. I yelled and got into the car. These bastards began to squirm in fear and try to free themselves, but they did not succeed. Horror and despair from the inevitability froze on their faces. I began to accelerate the engine, driving these bastards into even more horror. Then I released the brakes and rushed straight towards those bastards. They yelled like half-slaughtered pigs when they saw my car approaching them. But I didn't mean to kill those bastards. At the last moment I applied the brakes and the car stopped just a few centimeters from these creatures. Jacob pissed himself with fear. I got out of the car, taking with me the branded tie that I was forced to wear at work. It lay in my car, and now was a great reason to return it to its owner. Hold on, bastard, I'm quitting. You're a dirty and worthless piece of shit that makes you wonder what it is, but I see who you are. Many see it. You are a miserable and wretched entity who does not deserve anything bright in this life. And if you think that money will help you be happy, then you are very mistaken, bastard. You will always be unhappy. And you, a dirty whore, betrayed your family and betrayed me. But at the same time, you calmly looked into my eyes, pouring lies into my ears without any remorse. I don't want to see you anymore, I said as I pushed my tie into Jacob's mouth. I freed those naked, frightened bastards who were weeping and whining like beaten dogs. Then I got into the car and drove home. When I arrived home, my mind gradually began to return to me. It was, of course, insanely satisfying to take revenge on these creatures. But for this, I could get into big problems. And I had a small son, and now I was very worried that I had put him in such danger. But the morning took me by surprise. I learned that the restaurant where I worked burned down completely that same night. Jacob was trying to blame me, and it was logical. It was very similar, but I definitely had nothing to do with it. Soon, the charges of arson were dropped from me. It was proven that the old wiring which shorted out was to blame for everything. This bastard had spared money for repairs, and now it had caused a fire. But Jacob and Jessica were already trying to get revenge for what I did to them. They wanted to take my son away from me and put me behind bars or in a psychiatric hospital. But suddenly the unthinkable happened. These individuals decided to go to a ski resort. There they were caught in an avalanche and did not survive. They got exactly what they deserved, but I no longer cared about their fate. My main joy was that they would not be able to take my son away from me. I started working at a new job and became an administrator at a new restaurant. Here, the salary was much better, which eventually allowed me to move out of the rented apartment and buy my own place. Now I have begun a new stage in my life where I feel confident and happy. Now, let's get back to our story. I have an interesting story for you. I am 29 years old, and so is my wife. She is trying to convince me to sleep with her 27-year-old friend. I don't understand why she wants this, and I'm not sure if I should agree. My wife and I have been together for 10 years, married for 3 of those years. In my view, we have a strong marriage and a good sex life. One day, she asked me if there's anyone among our mutual friends that I find attractive. I told her that my eyes are only for her. However, she persisted, and eventually I mentioned her friend's name. After that, my wife started mentioning her friend frequently in conversations, comparing herself to her and saying that her friend has a better figure or is more attractive. I always reassured her otherwise, but she didn't believe me. It seems to me that she's jealous of me being around her friend. Recently, my wife suggested that I sleep with her friend. I was shocked and asked her what she was talking about. She replied that she knows I want it, and that I consider her friend more beautiful than her. I told her that's not true, but she kept insisting. I told her that I can't be unfaithful to her with another woman. But she continued to persuade me, saying that her friend doesn't mind. This worries me because it means that my wife told her friend about this. She really wants me to do it, and can't let go of this idea. I thought maybe I should agree so that she stops asking, but I really don't want to sleep with anyone else except my wife. However, it seems she likes the idea of me sleeping with her friend. It's such a strange situation, and I'm truly puzzled. Can someone explain why she's behaving like this, or what I should do? She kept saying that her friend and she discussed it, and her friend agrees if I'm also willing. This worries me because it means that my wife told her friend about this. She really wants me to do it for some strange reason, and can't let go of this idea. I was bewildered and didn't know what to do. I thought maybe I should agree so that she stops asking, but I can't betray my wife like that. Asking? But I really don't want to sleep with anyone else except my wife. However, it seems she likes the idea of me sleeping with her friend. It's such a strange situation, and I'm truly at a loss. I try to understand why she's acting this way, and what I should do. I decided to discuss this with her to understand her motivations and feelings about it. After a long conversation, she admitted that she feels insecure and thinks that if I sleep with her friend and don't feel attracted to her, it would confirm her feelings. She also said that it might be a way to strengthen our relationship because she would be sure that I'm choosing her even after being with someone else. I explained to her that I love her and I don't need to be with someone else to confirm my feelings for her. We decided to seek counseling together to understand this situation better and strengthen our relationship. Then she told me that she feels unattractive, mentioned gaining weight, something I don't care about, and that she's unsure if she can keep up the same level of intimacy in bed for the rest of our lives. I told her that she's amazing in bed and always drives me crazy. I also told her that even if we didn't have sex, I wouldn't run to some younger woman. She cried on my shoulder again and said she can't believe that I still want her after 10 years. I reassured her once again that she's the only person I want for the rest of my life. At the moment, I'm advising her to undergo therapy for herself, and we're planning to try couples counseling as well. I don't think this is a serious obstacle in our relationship, but seeking professional help wouldn't hurt. This third story is from a man whose ex-wife wants to come back 3 years after she left him and the kids 3 years ago. My wife was planning to cheat on me with another man. I noticed some signs and caught them texting. She felt our life was not what she wanted. We divorced, and she eventually left for another man. Our 3 kids felt abandoned at the time. I got the house and sole custody of the kids, and she didn't make much effort to see the kids, and they didn't want to see her, and were pretty vocal about it. The kids seem to have gotten better since then, but I still feel like they miss their mom, especially my youngest twin boy. I saw my ex-wife a few times since then, and I've moved on in the sense that I've slept with other women, but I'm not dating or planning to until the kids are out of school. At least I recently found out that the man my wife ran off with is now broke and abusing alcohol. She left him and went back to live with her parents. She came over this weekend when the kids were at my brother's house. The kids were with my brother at his cottage and talked to me, basically begging me to take her back. She was saying how she made a mistake and lost her savings after the divorce and the kids. She wants to work hard to get us back together and raise our kids together. I listened to her, but I didn't say much, and she drove back to her parents' house. So here's the situation. On the one hand, I really want her back, and I think in time, the kids will come around and accept her again. However, I also have concerns about her leaving again and hurting the kids once more. I want to make sure that she is truly committed to our family before we consider getting back together. I am open to the idea of couples counseling and working through our issues, but I want to make sure that it is the right decision for our family. Kids will be grateful to have mom back. The other women I've been with are good, but there's always a feeling that something is missing. Even if we do get back together, I don't plan on marrying her, at least not right away. And if we do, there will definitely be a prenup. I want her to stay with my parents and gradually fit into my life and my children's lives. There's also the problem that I don't know if I can accept her. Part of me sees her as used goods, which I know is not a good thing. We probably need both couples in family therapy. Thinking about the future is difficult right now. I have so many variables to consider. If she leaves again, what damage will it do to the kids or myself? But I am very afraid to deeply examine this situation. I fear that she will likely leave again and repeat the same actions once she feels comfortable in the relationship. If you enjoyed this story, please like and leave a comment. It's important for us and will help promote this video. Thank you for watching us.